But today, the judge denied the motion to sever. He basically said, the biggest piece of evidence that would have been prejudicial against the other defendants was the Chicago murder of Stephon Mack. But since that has been excluded from the trial, the judge basically said everything else is fair game. In the order, he went on to say that if there is something that should only be used against Durk and not the rest of the defendants, he will just tell the jurors through a jury instruction not to use it against the other defendants.
Okay, so that's pretty important, I think. So they're saying that the unaliving, the previous unaliving that Durk and Von were involved, allegedly involved with, won't be used against the other co-defendants in this case. And the judge is also saying that if there's any other incidences where there's things that don't apply to these other co-defendants, then the judge will handle that by jury instruction. So it looks like Durk may have suffered some setbacks, I guess I'll say, in some of these motions that are being denied. The motion for the particulars, I think, is pretty interesting because that deals with specificity of evidence, and that deals with how much evidence can I get to clear my name, right? Like, think about if you on trial for your murder in your life, man. You want to get as much information, as many terabytes of shit as you can get your motherfucking hands on to get yourself out of that situation. So a judge basically limiting the capability of that in any way, shape, or form, to me, is not a good sign, because if there's a tendency for a judge to do that in one area, you know what I mean, you already know it's on his mind for other areas, man. And so legally, like when you strategizing for different shit, that's just how you got to think, man. It's chess, man. When you playing with your life, this shit chess, it ain't checkers, man. So you gotta try to play every move on the board in your mind so that you can have a counter for that shit. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, it looks like Lil Durk then has suffered some setbacks in his case, and she's continuing to highlight some of those, man. Get the lights up.
Which is kind of typical in these situations. And so again, to make this all make sense, prosecutors usually like to try people together because it allows them to tell the full picture of a crime according to them. So in this instance, they want to be able to tell jurors about Durk and Von's friendship, about Von dying, about Durk wanting to avenge Von's death, how Durk offered the bounty for Quando Rondo,